China, China, China. Everyone's always trying to scare everybody about China. Like, oh my God, big bad China, they're coming for us. They're such a danger. They're going to destabilize the world. What's all of that really about? I'm going to explain it to you as simply as I can, but stay tuned to the end of the video because I'm going to link what is described on the internet as a blue-pilled wine mom giving you the best take there ever was about this. Anyhow, a long time ago, China wasn't as poppin' as it was now, but what they did have was a lot of people, cheap labor, and a complete willingness to desecrate their environment. And the entire world took advantage of it. We didn't care that we were sending kids into those factories. We didn't care that we were preventing people from going to school. We just wanted our cheap plates and forks and cars and mattresses. Like, there's not anything in my house that isn't made in China, probably. I mean, even the iPhone that I have now just says assembled in California. And I know they just mean assembled in the box at this point. But how many things do you think in a Chinese household are completely made things, like a mouse or something like that, that say made in Canada? Probably nothing, which is why I look at these governments and I'm like, shut up. You can't go shopping there for literally everything we need, use them to death, force them into these horrible situations where you pay them next to nothing to deliver everything our fat asses want on this side of the world, and then turn around and be like, oh my God, China's so dangerous. Well, then why are you shopping there? Why not just follow your morals and pay people here a living wage to do it? Oh, you won't? You love the slave labor? Then just shut up about the rest of it. I'm so tired of it. America's scary. China's not trying to turn us into a province. America's trying to turn us into a state, and all we do is roll over for them. They're slapping us with tariff after tariff after tariff, and all we do is take it. But you want to fear monger about China all the time. And I bring this up because there was a very interesting piece in the Globe and Mail and I know, the Globe and Mail, whatever, but they made a pretty cogent argument for why we need to free ourselves from this whole China fear-mongering, because really our enemy is not China, it's the States. It's the United States under Donald Trump. And the entire Canadian internet kind of just blew up. Oh my God, somebody investigate Globe and Mail. They're working for the CCP. Bro, look around your house. We're all working for the CCP, okay? We're all funding China. Shut up. But let me read some of the more, interesting points that I saw from the article. They put it behind a paywall after I refreshed the page once. Nice move. I'm not going to give you my money, Globe and Mail. I'm going to go ahead and find what you wrote on Twitter. Washington no longer views Canada as an ally, but rather as a subordinate from which to extract concessions. This wasn't even written all that recently. The trade talks that are happening now weren't even happening then. And like this kind of foreshadowing just kind of proves them right. Am I lying? Because we've given concessions. He said he's going to slap us with a tariff. We said, let's talk about it. He said, you're going to get a tariff. We said, okay, can we just talk about it a little bit? And he said, I'll give you a smaller tariff, but you're still taking this tariff. And then they turned around and said, look, Canada, we won. We didn't win. Okay. I look forward to seeing other moves that Mark Carney's going to pull out of his hat. I'm not saying he hasn't done anything right, but we are eating whatever they're feeding us, and we're being force fed. The greatest threat to Canadian sovereignty isn't Chinese interference, it's our servility to the U.S. that increasingly treats us as a vassal. Servility basically means being super willing to just be of servitude, being bitch ass, if you will. So how is that not wrong? We are talking about, we're not going to trade with China on this, or we're going to slap China. Like, while the American government themselves are still working with China. You say, and I'm being you, I mean, the Canadian government says, elbows up, America, fuck you, we're done with you, all that stuff. Who do you turn to if not China for a trading partner? You're looking to Europe? Europe is on their way down, okay? Africa's having a word with them right now. So leave that alone. But who else is there? Who else is there trying to, oh my God, they're doing all these horrible things to human beings. Yeah, they are. And I guess that argument would hold more water if you weren't always carrying water for Israel, the only country right now carrying out an actual genocide. And I know that everyone loves to talk about all the bad things China has done. Rightly so. I'm not saying China's some wonderful utopia. Oh my God, let's all be. No, they are doing some crazy things over there, but they have also accomplished a great amount. And as Canadians, we cannot go around pointing the finger at people when we still have a lot to answer for. The residential school scandals weren't even that long ago. And we are currently now with Bill C-5 planning on how to screw Native people over again. So really, pot, kettle, hello? China's not doing a lot of great things. Fine, whatever. But they have done some amazing things. Lifting 800 million people out of poverty. Canada's entire population isn't even as big as California, the state. It's like 40 million. 800 million people out of poverty. So what is their crime? Why are they so scary? Well, turns out while we were over there using them to death and grinding their people into the dirt, they were also taking notes on how to do the things that we were doing. That was a deal that they made. Sure, we don't have the ability to do all this stuff on our own right now. So how about this? Use our cheap labor, use our country as your dumping ground and toilet, but we're going to learn from this. It's not going to be give a man a fish. It's going to be a teach a man a fish conversation. And now the man is fishing. Okay? Huawei's there. BYD is there. Like, they're not checking for us anymore. Okay? Do you see what they're doing in China? The tech over there makes our stuff look prehistoric. Okay? We can't even unclick elevator buttons here in Toronto. Do you know what they're doing in China? The tech that's there. And instead of embracing that and trying to learn from the good things that they did, we're here just basically holding America's outstretched pocket like some sort of prison bitch, being like, oh no, I can't possibly talk to China. They're so dangerous. What do you mean? I'm so over this. A bunch of grown men playing these games while our lives are on the line. I'm supposed to look around my house and realize everything in the world is made from China. And instead of writing them a beautiful thank you note for doing all of this stuff for us, I'm supposed to go criticize them while I over here am funding a genocide, and I've destabilized Ukraine and I'm funding possibly a genocide over there. And let me not even talk about what I've been doing in Africa. And let me go ahead and like rub shoulders with Emmanuel Macron like he's some sort of deity. Meanwhile, he's sending kids in Africa to go die in mines so that the French can have the gold. What are we talking about? If we're working with villains, then I want to work with China too. They're super smart villains. Europe ain't got it like that. Europe ain't got it like that. And if we're going to be super virtuous and stuff like that, then put it across the board and start with our indigenous people right here in Canada. Stop screwing them over. But if you're not willing to do that, then shut your dirty mouth about China already. We've had it. You already did the investigation and it came out that no MP was working with them. Can you say the same about India? Can you? Kind of respect Globe and Mail for putting out that article. I thought the reactions were hysterical. Oh my God, the country that's shipping fentanyl into Canada and interfering in our elections. Guns coming from America, though, we're just going to gobble that shit right up, right? I mean, I'm not an economist. I'm not a journalist. I'm just somebody here buying my Chinese-made goods, wondering why it's okay to shop with these people, but I'm supposed to be also terrified of them. Like, get your ducks in a row, Canada. Anyhow, we're going to wrap it up here. Bread and Captivity News, out.
Your car is personal property. Your land, a certain amount of land you're allowed to have, is personal property because you're using it for your personal purposes. You can own the car. You cannot own the means of production of the car. And their logic is that in a communist society, you have to give to the masses, like you have to contribute something to the community, and you are allowed to work for your own personal use. What you cannot do is benefit off the labor of somebody else. So their argument is, if I'm one person, when I work, I get paid a salary, right? Mm-hmm. But what I cannot do is make 1,000 other people work, and I don't do any work, and I get paid off of all of their labor. That's what communism says is illegal. The means of production belong to the people. All of the manufacturing is government owned. Now there are all companies, all businesses are government owned. All large tracts of land are government owned. There are a few exceptions, most of them that came from when Hong Kong was returned to China. Hong Kong had been for 100 years British. There were a bunch of Chinese people that were living there that were used to a free economy. And these people are, as you know, very, very wealthy people. They built very big businesses. Well, these Hong Kong billionaires who are used to being free went to Beijing and said, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to play games, you're either going to deal with us nicely in the sandbox, and we will stay here as a Chinese company in China, or we'll just get the fuck out. We don't have to stick around because we got billions of dollars. So what's it going to be? So there are certain companies like that were able to maintain their companies separately. There are also public companies, because you can have a public company. You can't have a company that is owned by an individual privately, okay? So BYD, the big competitor against Tesla, that is a public company. It is a Chinese company, but it is publicly owned. And the Chinese government gave a lot of money to get it going, just as our government gives a lot of incentives to get businesses going.
But now, wait a minute. If it's publicly owned, isn't that like our stock market?
Yes, it is traded on our stock market. It's a Chinese company that is traded on our stock market that I sold all my Tesla stock to buy into because it is smoking Tesla.